culture first, it gave me such a better understanding and appreciation of the language. So the language just came naturally. But like when you learn a language, what do you need? You need basic sentences to survive, like survival English, which is why the name, like the Backpacker's Guide, is just perfect. Because like you're on the go and you need a backpack to survive out in the world, kind of thing. But you need certain language to survive. And so when I came back to Canada, I worked for a private language school for about 5 years, became head teacher there. And then, you get to a point where you realize classroom-based learning can only take you so far if you don't have either the right approach or the right method. And so you can be the greatest teacher in the world, but if you have students sitting down in the classroom, 15, 20 students, and you're teaching grammar and conversation, it's only going to get you so far. Because the big problem, as everyone out there knows, is once you step outside the classroom, you're deer in headlights. You freeze. You don't know how to function. Yeah, go ahead, Judy.
I just want to add two things before you zoom ahead. Anish speaks 7 languages. I want to learn to speak English from somebody who speaks many and really different Japanese, Taiwanese, a variety of really challenging languages. I always want to say that. And the other hooks in here, and I'm not going to say this horse thing anymore, but a lot of success in horse training is take away the reason why they won't. There's very few reasons why a human being won't speak in a new language. One of them is fear of looking stupid. It's huge. So if you can manage the reasons why they won't, then they will. So more and more grammar never helps. More and more vocabulary isn't it. More and more knowledge about doesn't change their ability with the skill. So it's kind of it's an approach. You've said approach, and that's the perfect word. It's kind of a different way to look at it. So what are the pieces that you need to get over your issues as quickly as possible? And it's more expedient.
And to that point, this is the whole reason why I started my own business, On the Spot Language, 11 years ago. It's the frustration with the system, the education system. And I'm like, well, how did I learn languages? And Maha knows you have to get out. You have to use the language. You have to get out and speak to people. But that's easy for a teacher to say. Okay, today I want you to go outside and just talk to as many people as possible when you're in Canada. Yay, good luck. Yeah, no, it doesn't happen like that. Which is why you need a language
coach.
Ding, 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 ding. You need a language coach. You need someone to guide you, to show you how to learn a language. If I just tell you go outside, they're like, what? But I don't know how to approach people. I don't know what kind of body language I need. I don't know how much distance I need. Can I hug them? Can I touch them? There's so many things. So the last 11 years, since 2009, with On the Spot Language, we've had over 40,000 conversations with strangers on the streets of Toronto. And these are students in the first week of our program, they're crying because, Anish, I don't know, I'm nervous, I'm scared, and that's okay to feel that. But you learn how to walk by crawling, right? And you take these baby steps. But after week 2, week 3 of talking to so many people and hearing so many accents in the way people talk, so this is the whole point of On the Spot Language and why we've been voted best school in Toronto for two years in a row, and why I think experiential language learning and language coaching go hand in hand. And I think this is, when we talk about conversational spoken English, it is crazy, but with the right approach, it can become less crazy.
I agree. I agree. And the right approach is not always the right approach for everybody because we're all individuals. We all think differently. We all behave differently. We all learn differently. So what might be the right approach for me might not be the right approach for Judy if she's a learner. And what might be the right approach for Judy if she's a learner, it might not be the same for Anish as a learner. So as a coach, as a teacher, as a trainer, whatever you are in front of the students, I think it's very necessary also to understand how that particular student's mind works. It's very difficult. It's extremely difficult to do when you have a classroom full of 15 people. But I think it's the most essential ever to actually know how different student A is from B to C to D to E. Yes, go ahead, Judy.
Yes and no. So yes, individuals are different, and yes, languages are different, but the way the brain works, the way everyone's brain works is pretty much the same. So the brain is looking for patterns, and the brain is it going to attach information to information that it already has. And if you support the brain doing that, then it helps anyone. So the trick is, where are they now? The trick is a razor sharp assessment. Now, Maha, I can tell right now, this is so instinctive with you, but it isn't instinctive with every teacher, and especially new teachers, and they need a map, and they need to understand what that every student's brain is looking for, and give them what the brain's looking for, and then they go, oh, and they also often say, why didn't somebody tell me this? That light bulb moment. So you're going light bulb moment, light bulb moment, light bulb moment. They go, this is not as hard as I thought. School makes it, Anish, I'm circling back here. School makes it way harder, more cumbersome than it is.
Yes, it is. I speak about 4 languages myself. And I'm not really sure which of those is my first language anymore because I just don't know, right? And I switch depending on who I'm speaking to. So when I said that everybody's brains is different, in Urdu we say, if I were to translate that into English, there's a very fine line between the way I would learn from between me and Anish or you. So that line is so fine that it's hard to basically for everyone to notice. So for instance, I like sitting on a comfortable chair, staring into thin air, and I'm listening to what I need to be doing. And then I need a hands-on thing as well. My need of the language when I was growing up was how to speak it. Not that I didn't know, not that I couldn't write or read or whatever. I knew English 100%. My mom's an English language teacher. My dad's from the army. We all spoke English at home. But put Maha outside the house or put her with her classmates or teacher, Maha was mute, right? There was only one teacher who figured out what the problem was. It was a lack of confidence, right? We were a group of 20 kids in the classroom. She just figured out, she goes like, this girl has a lack of confidence. And she figured out why I had that lack of confidence as well. Whatever the reasons were behind it, she knew exactly how to fix it. Believe it or not, it took her 1 week. I still remember her.
I believe it.
1 week, and I snapped out of it. And I was like, what exactly happened here? And she turns around, she goes like, I wish I never gave you the tongue. Now you don't shut up. I said, well, I have it now. So yeah, go ahead, Judy.
The number that comes up over and over and over is 30 hours. And there's all kinds of, and they're usually polyglots who have come up with these courses. Jeff Brown has a good one. There's a lot of good ones. But the number is always 30 hours. And if it takes you longer than 30 hours to start speaking in that new language, then get a different teacher. Your teacher is, filling you with knowledge, but not, supporting your skill level and your confidence and things like that. So, yeah, 30 hours is the number.
And I think a key point that you mentioned, Maha, and something that Judy also gets is when you are in a classroom setting, it is difficult and challenging to have that one-on-one interaction to really get to know your learners.
Mhm.
And I think, just goes along with all school boards and systems. With having too many students in a classroom, you can only get to students so much or so well. And so, sorry, go ahead, Judy. Yeah, I
I
know.
disagree. You can do 30, 50, 100 students if you do the patterns that are always true. If you do the patterns that their brain is looking for, and you start with, and you disappear, that there's only a handful, less than 6 reasons why people won't talk. Confidence is a big one. So you give them the patterns and take away the reasons why they won't. That 30 hours is for beginners. It's 20 hours for an intermediate student. It's 10 hours or less for an advanced student, for those aha moments that set them free that you just described. But there's no teacher in education who's trained to do that. We're just not trained to do that. And the way that we're trained isn't effective, period, full stop. So the internet's bringing more effective programs right into people's living rooms, and the education system has to change or die. Like, it is so obsolete. It's hundreds of years old, and it actually never worked. So let's beat that up for a while. Maybe we're done, but teachers are not trained, no matter how much they care or how hard they work. They've got a chisel and a stone, and they're trying to make a building, and it's heartbreaking.
Do you guys feel or think, I just need your, insights on this. Do you think everybody can teach?
No.
So someone goes to a teacher's college, gets a degree, gets their, teach English to adults certifications. Do you think they should be okay in a classroom?
They're okay teaching the curriculum. It's a combination of things. That curriculum's broken. So a monkey could stand and teach that. It's just, this is the way we've always done it. You don't need any finesse or aptitude to do that. And sadly, ESL schools are full of these teachers, and they're double dipping and into their, you can't ever fire them. In our board, you can't ever fire them. Doesn't matter how bad they are. So there's just layers and layers and layers of dysfunctionality in there, for sure.
Great. Okay. So we do have a lot of, obviously, second language speakers who watch these videos. And of course, they will be watching it after we've gone offline. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So we're going to have Judy answer first, and then Anish. So if somebody wants to learn English, they come to me, obviously, on this page. They go like, can you teach me grammar? I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to teach you grammar. I just cannot teach you grammar. Like, ask me. I don't know grammar. Okay. No, I know my grammar, but I'm not going to teach you because it doesn't make sense. But I only teach grammar to certain people from certain countries because I know they need to. And that's the only way they can. They cannot otherwise. So I don't want to sit and name those I was going to say name and shame. I'm not naming shaming, but I don't want to name those countries only because, they're like, let's say if somebody's been in those particular countries for like 30 years of their life, that's the only way their brain knows. So you got to give it to them that way initially, and then start taking them on a detour to the way it should be kind of done, right?
Yeah.
So do you agree or do you disagree? However it is, like, what do you say is the best tip for, in general, so not looking at those specific, different people who only learn grammar by memorizing and all that, what do you think is the best way for somebody to pick up English? The best and the quickest?
I think they need the context. Every conversation in English makes sense in the context. And the context of speaking English is native speakers spoke before they went to school, but nobody taught me grammar or how, and this is true of every language. But when we go to teach English, we just teach reading and writing, the alphabet, spelling, grammar, punctuation, capitalization, composition, all these things that we learned in school, and we expect speaking to follow. Well, guess what? English speaking and English reading and writing have no connection at all. There's no logical alphabet. There's no set of rules. And in fact, I don't care if you've been learning English grammar for 30 years. It isn't actually English grammar. So in the 1700s, a clergyman scratched out the name Latin grammar, put in English, and we teach a different set of rules than the rules that we actually use. There's only one person that I know, and she drives a Jaguar, who figured out what English rules are. Her name is Rita Baker, Lidbury English Center, and she is putting the global approach online, and she's been teaching executives and diplomats for more than 30 years. Again, it's that 1 week thing, but she actually teaches English grammar. There is another English teacher on this planet who teaches English grammar, hands down. It's just a big farce. So you can do that for 30 years. You can pretend along with them, and you have to. I totally agree with you. You cannot invalidate that student. You just can't take that blankie away. But as soon as they understand grammar is on a different plane and they've never learned how speaking works, then they can let it go. They go, oh, I don't speak because nobody taught me speaking. And the rules for speaking are really, really simple. And the only place, I'm hogging this, but never mind. The only place where English speaking and English reading and writing intersect is expressions. That's it. English speaking uses a different alphabet, different rules, linking, voice, context, culture, as Anna said, none of which are addressed in reading and writing lessons. And that's what we've been calling, here's one of those misnomers, we've been calling ESL, and it's really just reading lessons and writing lessons. There's no speaking element at all. Mm-hmm. When they understand they haven't studied it, then they're free to say, well, if I'm going to study it, what does it look like? And then you give it to them and they say, why didn't somebody tell me that 30 years ago? So,
right.
Yeah.
Great. And it all goes back to, again, what you said, context. And so if I'm going to give one tip to all the listeners out there, and if you're some of my students, then you probably already know this, is finding your passion in your whatever your interests and your hobbies are, and connecting that with the language. So in on-the-spot language, one of the first things that we do with students is, before we even get into actually their interests and hobbies, we actually ask them, can you even ask, like, could you please say that again? Or how do you spell that? Or, could you please write that down? So learning the basics of the language as a starting point, and then working into, so what do you like to do for fun? Now, I had a student, she loved dogs. Her dogs were back home, and she was in Canada. She missed her dogs. So how can she use English but talk about dogs? Excuse me, do you like dogs? Do you like dogs? Do you like... No.
Go to a dog park.
Ding, 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 ding. That's exactly what we did. So in the second month of our program, we said, okay, now that you have the basics of English, your goal this month, now that you have the basics, is you're going to find every dog park in Toronto, and you're going to talk to dog owners. But we taught her the sentences. Excuse me, you mind if I ask what kind of a dog that is? Or is it a mix? Oh, and then we taught her the sentence. Actually, back in Japan, I have a nani dog, or I have this kind of dog. And you mind if I pet it? You mind if I pet it? And you mind if I take a picture with your dog? And she took a every day she had a different picture with a different dog in a different park. She spent 1.5 years in Canada, and she spent most of that time in dog parks. Why?
She loves dogs.
She loves dogs, and that was her. But we taught her the language to be able to facilitate. I'm not a big dog lover. Sorry, everybody. But I went to a park and I showed her, this is how you would do it. You mind if I pet it? And then finally, you're not going to believe this, Maha. She actually said, well, you mind if I join you for a daily walk with your dog? Guess who became her new friend? Guess how many more friends then she said, well, wait a minute, maybe I can offer, dog walking services for people.
Yeah.
And she started her own business doing that.
Wow.
So that's just one example of many, that if you take your interest in your hobbies and you're empowered to be given the language to be able to have those conversations in context, right? If I told her these sentences in the classroom and said, okay, go do it,
Wouldn't
and
happen.
can't, right? And so taking the classroom and taking it outside and showing students how to order in a restaurant, how to ask for directions, it's like Paul is saying right now, that's why it is so effective. Context is everything. And Paul gets that being in Vancouver. So yeah, my biggest tip is find your interest, find your passion, and learn some sentences related to that interest or hobby or that passion, whatever it is.
I'd like to add over here as well. As a student, definitely, pick on your passions and then, work accordingly. And if you really want to become a teacher, please be passionate about it. So don't become a teacher because everybody else is a teacher. Don't become a teacher because everybody else wants to teach or travel.
Because you get summers off. How many are, you get your summer off, be a teacher. Oh, God.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. It's terrible because I know a lot of teachers who used to work as teachers, and they still are. And this is back in Dubai because we would work about 167 days a year and get paid for 365.
Yeah.
Right. Summertime, we would get a chunk of money thrown into our bank accounts because we were off for 2.5 months. It felt fabulous to have, a lot of money just drop in, right? But then I saw them teaching only because they were looking forward to the weekends and the summer. And I was, me and a couple of others, we were just like, every time the weekend came around, we would go shopping for our classroom. So when summer came around, we would start shopping for our next year. And they were like, why are you guys shopping for school when you're off? And we thought we were crazy, for doing that. Go ahead, Judy.
Since we're talking about money and passion and teaching, it's appropriate to say when I became a coach, I made way more money than I made as a teacher, and I made really good money at Sheridan College. I made way more money when I became a coach. Yeah, so I don't know how to fit that all in, but it's not, you don't have to be a teacher and lose.
Yeah. So I say teacher for people who have their certifications and their degrees and their teaching. Right? Teaching is just standing in front of a classroom and delivering a lesson that's been given to you. That's what teaching is all about. As per the definition. Who is a teacher is a person who teaches you, right?
I heard a great ratio at ILCA, the International Language Coaching Association. They are freaking incredible and they have incredible courses. But they said if the teacher's talking 80%, and the students are contributing 20%, that's teaching. If the coach, the teacher, the educator is contributing 20% and the learner's doing 80%, that's coaching. And there's your rule of thumb. So if you're standing in front of a class and you can coach a group, but those were the numbers.
Yeah.
Just as a baseline.
Yeah, we learned that in, I've done my CELTA, which is the Certificate of Teaching English to Adults, Cambridge Universities. So we had that as well. So every time we wrote in our lesson plans, because it was a formal thing we had to go to, we had to write the student teacher time and the teacher talking time and the student talking time, or teacher-student talking time. And we had to make sure that the numbers of the teacher instructional time, they did not go over 30%. Because if they did, that means you're not really teaching them. You're just lecturing them and you're not letting them learn.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's the process of learning. I have one of my regulars saying life itself is a teacher. Perfect. Definitely life is a teacher.
Yeah, Andrew Weiler made the distinction. Language is a skill. It's not information.
Yeah.
So it was just like, the participant was saying, it's a skill, it's life. So you have to go out there. That's what Anish coaches is, go out there and live it and get it from living it.
And this is actually part of our evaluation on that note. As soon as I'm level 5, I'm level 6, I'm level 7, I'm level 8. A lot of this is based on, written or listening skills that they're taking at a lot of these ESLs. Because I'm like Judy said, it's a set of skills. You know, you have this kind of this tool belt of skills, and if you can, you know, ask for directions, if you can talk about your hometown, your interests, your hobbies, your job, you know, there are certain, can you approach a stranger if you're in an emergency, you know, can you order food at a restaurant, can you go to the supermarket, can you ask for someone for directions on their phone?
Mhm.
You know, these are certain skills that you need. And so if you can do check, then you develop the skills to be a communicative learner.
But then what do we do with situations like, if you need to come to Canada and you want to, either for your PR card, your immigration, your higher studies, you need to do your IELTS.
You got to do it.
You got to do it, right?
Again, to that point, you're studying for a test, right? It's not, you need this for the rest of your life. You're studying a certain amount of information in a certain way to be able to pass a test. Judy could probably speak to just being able to have to pass a test.
Yes. Or Paul, or play the guitar. The only way to play the guitar is play the guitar.
Yep.
Yeah.
You read about it.
Yes.
A good friend of mine and previous language coach that I had, as Judy knows, Luke, he always used this one example. You know, if you gave someone a manual on how to drive a car, will you be able to drive a car?
No.
No.
It's not.
You've got to drive. You've got to
actually
practice drive to be, to get your license. So why is it we're giving these students these textbooks and say learn English, learn English, learn English, but we have to show them how to drive.
Right.
You need to take them out in context and say, how do you ask for directions? Or if you don't understand. And to that point, I'm just going to maybe teach a little bit here. I'll get into my coaching mode. So an example, if we take a student outside, or let's start inside the classroom, okay, everyone? So teachers, if you want to ask for directions, you say, where would I find the nearest bank? Example, somebody will say, okay, all you need to do is go straight and then turn left. You go outside and you ask somebody, excuse me, where would I find the nearest bank? Is there one around here? And so, yeah, just head straight and hang a left. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, Anish, what do you mean by head straight and hang? What do you mean hang a left? But somebody says, yeah, just head straight and hang a left. They go, and I think, oh, head means go. Or head straight, go straight. Hang a left means turn left. Then they talk to the next person, Maha, and they go, excuse me, where would I find the nearest bank? Is there one around here? And they go, yeah, just keep heading straight and make a left. What do you mean make a left? How do I make a left? What does make mean? Oh, make also means turn, right? And so if you ask 100 people for directions that day, how many people will use the word make a left or hang a left or head straight?
Conversely,
a lot.
Conversely,
yep.
They'll still get there. However they say it, partly because of the body language and partly because all they're going to hear, if their listening skills are honed, they're going to hear straight and left. And what they say before that, nobody cares anyway. So they're still going to get there. So the functionality of conversation and your expressions in hang a left is pretty high. Your guys are highly functional when they're left, but they can function at there. So the elements of successful conversation are the body language, the context, the listening, and the content words. So straight and left will still do it. And they need to know that. But your guys know that because they do it 100 times. And every time they get there, because their brain found the pieces that they need and they had success. Can I take a picture with your dog? Picture dog. They go, sure. And they meet success after success after success. This is what Jason West, and Anish, you know him well. It's the same kind of thing as On the Spot. What's it called? English Out There. And I met him years ago on LinkedIn. Incredible program. But it's feeding both of the things that you guys are saying. So the confidence there is because it worked even when they didn't understand every word, even when they didn't respond perfectly, even with an accent, it still works because the elements of grammar are there. So if I told somebody to know one thing, it's sentence stress, which turns into word stress. If you hit the word stress on the most important words, the grammar and expressions and all that, they're there, but they come later. It's the walking and falling, it's that first step and fall and get up again. So the skill to be confident making mistakes. And people, English is so forgiving. There, if I could tell everybody one thing, English is infinitely tolerant of mistakes and accents and grammar mistakes and wrong word choice. Infinitely generous. So you're going to be okay.
You're right. You're right on that. And I like when you said that, for the native speakers, and you said that probably like towards the beginning of this video, I tell my students as well, like, when you're born or when there's a child born in your family, you do not teach them the language that you speak at home. They learn from listening and then trying to speak. And if a child says, if they call this, instead of saying water, they just call it whatever they want to say. Water. Or they just say wa.
Wawa, mama, tata.
Exactly. So nobody turns around and says, no, it's not a wawa, it's water. Nobody turns around and corrects a child. Because they don't correct a child, the child keeps wanting to learn and keeps listening. Because the minute you tell the child, no, this is not wawa, this is water, the child will be like, what are you talking about? This is water. That's what I'm saying too, right?
Yes.
I keep telling those students as well that please stop trying to open up grammar books and trying to learn a language. Think. It's a blank slate in there. It's completely blank. You're putting in information. You're absorbing. Absorb. Whatever you can, whichever way you can. Forget accents. No, you do not need to speak like a British, American, Australian, whatever. Don't do that. Because the minute you condition your mind, again, it's about conditioning, right? So anything that you condition is not going to go through the way you want it to go through because you've already put that blockage from way before saying, I only want to speak like an American. Or I only want to speak, I really like the Canadian accent. I really like the British or the Australian or whatever accent. And you've conditioned your mind and your mind is thinking, okay, is that, and the mind's not thinking, what accents am I listening to right now? Which one should I pick? Which ones should I not? And that brings me to my next question about accents.
Well, I think one of the things just regarding accents, and I'm sure this is going to possibly answer your question. If you ask somebody, what's a Canadian accent? It's not just, how's it going, eh? When you do get out there and talk to the wide array of people, and that's the benefit of what we do with our program, is when you talk to 100 people a day, you're hearing all different kinds of accents and you're able to communicate and understand what all different kinds of people are saying. And so a word that, Judy uses all the time, and she can speak more to this, is intelligibility. Yes. And she can go on for hours about this. But if you're intelligible, it doesn't matter what your accent is.
That's right.
And go ahead, Judy.
Well, there isn't a teacher in a million who's been trained to know the difference. Mm-hmm. So we teach accent reduction as if it makes a difference. It doesn't. So the root of intelligibility, or being able to be understood, in English is word stress. It's just it's a 10-minute lesson. It's an elastic band. That's the piece that they need. They don't need more and more noise about accent reduction. We don't care about accents. If the word stress is there, we're not actually listening for mistakes. We, as a native speaker, doesn't even listen to mistakes. In the background, we go, I think they're from Poland, but I know what she's saying. You know, you notice it, but it doesn't impede anything. You know, I think I wonder if she's from France or Quebec, but I know she's French. But I understand everything that she's saying. You know, if the word stress is in place, there's intelligibility, full stop. Why is English like that? Can I circle back to why is it like that? And because it does go back, well, I don't know, 1486 or something. It was when William Caxton wrote it down. So it had been spoken for 1,000 years and was a combination of languages, Norse, German, and French predominantly, but it's still a melting pot of every languages in the world is part of English. They say borrow it, but it's really steal when we take words and don't give them back. But he just took the closest alphabet. You know, here's 26 letters. I think it was 25 at the time. The U and the V were the same. And he just started writing English down. 40 sounds. There were more than 40 sounds. So it sounds like je, beige, garage, usual, Taj Mahal, television, pleasure. It's a sound in English. There's no letter for it. There's still no letter for it. You know, so he didn't modify or add symbols to the Latin alphabet. And he wrote English down. We've been copying this man's mistakes for 500 years. And the dictionary is just a collection of mistakes. It doesn't create anything. The dictionary is the biggest book of mistakes. All their syllabication in the dictionary is wrong. It's dead wrong. But the publishing houses and the education system, this is the way we've always done it, is so entrenched. You know, shows like yours are the bane of the industry because it's just shining a light on that, and people are not going to tolerate this. It's just garbage. They're just not going to tolerate it anymore. And people like Anish provide alternatives that are successful. And yeah, party's over. I hope you like change because here it comes. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think
that's why English is like it is. We're just sheep. Education is just sheep. Aren't you glad you had me?
It is.
There you go.
My Anish brings me because I just say all the horrible things and he gets to laugh.
I get you.
Yeah, but we got to say this stuff, right? We got to say this because there's so many people now, thanks to COVID-19, you know, everybody's kind of home and wanting to learn, but they don't know how to anymore. So obviously they're either on Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. And I think there should be more of us. You know, I've been doing this now for almost, I would say, 6 to 8 months religiously, but before that, 7 years or so on my Facebook, right? Going on and just giving stuff to them. And I keep telling these people, I'm like, stop asking me grammar related questions. I'll get you somebody. I'm not saying grammar is not important, but I'll get you somebody who will give you the grammar. And of course I had Paul, who came in a couple of weeks ago and he gave them a complete grammar, detailed lesson. But I keep telling them, I said, I'm here to help you speak better. I'm here to help you think. I'm here to help you brainstorm. I'm here to help you gain the confidence. So get that from me. So this is a message to the students as well. You need to sit down and you need to figure out what you need. Do you need to pass your IELTS? Do you need to write your TOEFL? Do you want to write your CELPIP or any other, language exam? If not, and you just want to be able to speak, why do you want to speak English? That's the first question you should ask yourself. Do you want to speak English because your friends do, with the same accent that you guys have? Or do you want to speak English because you've got cousins living in the US or America, or US or Canada or Australia, and you want to speak to them in English? Or do you want to speak English because you feel that the people that you kind of hang around with don't speak that language and you want to be a little different? So you need to figure out as a student, why do you want to learn the language? Not because it's just your passion. Yes, a lot of people have a passion to learn the language. I'm not saying it's wrong, but even your passion has to be driven by something. So figure that little teeny weeny bit. Why do you want to learn the language? Once you figure that out, you will find somebody who will guide you, who will take you by your hand and take you that way. don't follow the simple or the regular routine of let's enroll myself in a school, let's learn the grammar, the alphabets, the phonics, and then start making sentences and go on. Because then you've lost the reason why you want to learn English. You're going somewhere else.
Yeah, totally.
That's my
ruthless assessment at the beginning. Ask a few good questions. Yeah, give your whole program direction. And that's really student-based. Student-based is overused, and there's another misnomer. Our industry's driven by them. You know, all the appeal board and all our programs are student-based. They're as far from student-based as you could possibly be. So it's jargon. It's just a marketing term that's lost its meaning. But, you know, coaches and you do actual student-based, starts with some questions and a ruthless assessment.
Sorry, I'd like to quickly apologize here. Paul does not teach grammar. I'm so sorry, Paul, but then he looks into why grammar is the way it is. So why is English like this? Why is grammar like this? Apologies, Paul. I just kind of like to start it off, but then he shows learners how to analyze sentences and expressions.
One of the great things that I actually like about other educators, like Paul, and you know, we're big video people. We like to take videos, but it's not always us. We actually make it about the learners. So if you look in most of my videos on the On the Spot Language YouTube page, you'll see my students sharing their voices, their opinions, their favorite English sentences, or we call them focus sentences. Because if another learner can see another learner using that language, isn't that more exciting or more empowering than always a native English speaker talking?
100%.
And that's all I see online is all these English YouTubers speaking. Wow, and I want to be like them. No, take another learner who's been able to do A, B, C, or D and have them inspire you, because you're able to put yourself in their shoes. You can imagine yourself as one of them. Oh, thanks for showing, Maha. Yeah. So, and you can see loads of videos of our students just out there talking and communicating and having fun. There's even a video of our students telling jokes in English. You know, if they're sitting down at having a conversation with people, they're telling jokes to people, and look at it. These are all my students talking.
Mm-hmm.
You barely see me because it's more empowering to see that from other people. But my video series there, Video Spot, is amazing because it actually has students teaching their favorite sentence. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you one example. I'll stop talking after this. But one of the girls' favorite sentences that she learned in our program was, you're not going to believe it, because a lot of foreigners or students who come here, they gain a lot of weight. Oh, Anish, my weight so much. Canada. Oh, you mean you've gained a lot of weight? And she goes, yeah, weight, a lot, gain. And I said, oh, okay, so you mean I've gained a lot of weight since I've come to Canada, or since coming to Canada? And she goes, yeah, I like sentence. Again, could you please? I go, yeah, so I've gained a lot of weight since coming to Canada, right? So she used that sentence with every girl she met in Canada. So how do you like Canada? So
shoot.
Oops. We lost you.
We lost you, big guy.
I've lost everyone. Oh, we're back.
You're back.
So her favorite sentence became, I've lost a lot of weight since coming to Canada. Or I've lost a lot of weight over the past 5 months. I've lost a lot of weight since coming here. I've lost a lot of weight. And this goes back to sentences, sentence structure, sentence patterns. But every person she met, she loved that sentence the most. But that empowered her. But that video is online of her just teaching that sentence. My favorite sentence is, I've gained a lot of weight since coming to Canada. And I can't tell you how many students I've shown that video to. Oh, I also want to learn that sentence. I connect. I really need to. I'm a woman. And I was like, okay, great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's finest. Yeah, go ahead, Jody.
I want to do a plug. Can I do a plug?
Sure.
It speaks to what we've been speaking to. So why is English like that and grammar focused? So if you're getting that that's not a means to an end for you, if you can read These little guys are going to help you. You don't have to be an English teacher. If you're a hitchhiker, if you're a mom, it's for people who can read. There's absolutely no jargon in them. And and the PDFs it's $12 total, all three of them.
Wow.
I know. See, it wasn't about getting rich. I already got rich. It's about making a difference. And, we're circling back to that. So, yeah, $12 for the set in PDFs. It'll change your whole life. It'll give you direction if you want to speak English.
Right.
You'll know what to
Absolutely.
do, to ask for it, and you'll know a good teacher from one who can't help you. Yeah.
Are there any questions that you'd like to? Oh, there's the Amazon page. You get buy the book or also get the PDF. There you go. And I think the other book.
The paperback is $40, $40.83. Whereas the PDF, you say, Judy.
The PDFs of the Backpackers Guide. You can find Backpackers on there, but the Backpackersenglish.com, Backpackersenglish.com has the PDFs. They're in Kindle. They're in everything. But just to get the PDFs, and a lot of, I'm just going to say it, yes, go there. The young people, they love doing everything on their computer. So it's all computer friendly. There's the three guys. And somewhere on there is, I can't read it, but.
Yeah, just go to store.
Store. There should be a special on there. All three can go to the bottom of that. Oh, how do you say? We didn't even do that. Oh, it should be easier to find than this. That's not how do you say. How about buy now? Somewhere. I'm going to.
Yeah, that'll lead you to the Amazon page, and then on the Amazon page you can get that package.
Yeah.
Buy all three and save. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
$12 guys.
There you go. Yeah. There's the plug. Love it.
There it is.
Are there any questions, Maha, from the audience?
No questions yet. It's just a lot of comments that were coming in.
I have one from Mai. Said all great information. Okay, yeah. What to do when many books have many mistakes?
They're all mistakes.
There you go.
All the books are only mistakes.
The book itself is probably the mistake. Great. There's a question here. What would you think is the best way or approach to learning English if you could explain it simply?
Me?
Yeah.
In the flow of conversation is fast. Humans can't stay present to everything that they've ever learned. In fact, they can only stay present to one thing. And the one thing that they need to stay present to is word stress. Banana, word stress. There's one and only one most important syllable in any word. And if you hit that, banana is not a word to an English speaker. Banana, I don't know what you're saying and I can't guess. It's banana or nothing. If you can pay attention in your listening to word stress, and if you pay attention in your speaking to word stress, your ability is going to grow and grow, and your confidence is going to grow and grow. If you can stay present to one thing, it's that. And Anish is 100% right. Go ahead. Talk to native speakers. Listen. They love listening to Friends. Friends is really high English, and expressions are born there. They're born there. So why they love Friends, I don't know, but I love that they love Friends. Another hot tip is take a 2 or 3 minute segment, repeat it, mimic it. Before you understand it, just repeat it. And the understanding, we're circling around, Maha, you said this, the understanding and all that comes second.
Yeah.
Adults in particular want the understanding and to be perfect to come first. Let it go. It's never going to happen. Be willing to be imperfect. watch your word stress, listen for it, and listen to native speakers and talk to native speakers. That's my thing.
That's the way it needs to be done. And also stop thinking that somebody, whoever you're speaking to, is actually judging you or is laughing at you or
Admiring you. Because if you speak English, chances are excellent you don't speak any other language. And you are in complete awe of anyone because, you know, your English is better than my Urdu. Your English is better than my Polish. That's what we think. We're native speakers are in complete awe of anyone learning English.
And if you feel that they are not, then please don't speak to them again. Simple as that. I mean, if they're giving you that look or that ugly feeling, just walk away and go like, you know what? I am not interested in speaking to you anymore because I don't want to. And find somebody else. Don't feel bad yourself just because that other person has a problem with you trying to speak a language, because that's their problem and not your problem.
Yeah, finding a language buddy, even if it's not a language coach or just someone you can, you know, speak with on a regular basis. To answer the question, you know, a great approach is just making a part of English part of your daily routine, whatever that is. Just developing habitual, you know, these habits that you can form on a daily basis, that you find it fun and enjoyable. I had a student who, I have hundreds of stories, but I have a student who just loved going to coffee shops and liked learning, you know, her favorite sentence was, in terms of Timbits, how many come in a pack? That was it. She didn't even say, what does in terms of mean? He goes, anyway, in terms of Timbits, how many come in a pack? They go 10, 20, 30, 50. But she loved going to Tim Hortons. So she just learned and used that sentence. So she likes coffee shops. Then she says, well, you know, what would be your lightest coffee? What would be your darkest coffee? But she used that in every coffee shop she went to because that was part of her daily routine.
Tim Hortons, you're going to hear Meapu's next, please.
Yeah, Meapu's next, please.
Meapu's next, please. And God bless them. Those learners are going to look for that in the dictionary. You know,
what's Meapu? Yeah.
Meapu's, yeah. And you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it next time you go. So, you know, linking is probably the second thing. So if you get, and how words run together in a pattern, a fixed pattern, a very simple fixed pattern. That's how words run together. So Meapu's, when then you can decode what other people are saying. You don't ever have to say Meapu's, but learners love to get phrases and say them perfectly and be perfect, like in a manner of speaking or in regards to, or, you know, lovely. But there's a question: what should people look for in a coach?
So his first question was beyond training. Beyond training, what do you all think are the personal qualities that make someone a good language teacher or a coach? And then he extended on that, saying, in other words, what should they look for in a coach?
It's like when you go to the first doctor, like try out a few. The one that makes you feel great, you can do it, pick that one. You know, yeah.
I wholeheartedly, completely agree with that.
If we can fix, don't go there. You know, you're perfect as you are. Let's get out there and do it. Pick that one.
Yeah. And I think if you can find that person who you connect with maybe on a personal level, or I've had students who say, I hate Anish, but I love the way he coaches me.
I love
and like, and I tell them, listen, I'm not your friend. I'm your coach. I'm going to understand your needs, your wants, and your goals, and I'm going to show you how to get there.
Yeah, but you don't leave them gutted.
No, not at all.
No, you don't.
You can't.
Yeah,
otherwise, they'll fall right off. Yeah.
Right back in again. I'll strip it away, but
yeah, you have to keep them engaged to some degree.
You know this already. I start every lesson with "you know this already," and then I take what they know and apply it to where they want to go. And they go, "I know this already," and you say, "Yep," and then you prove it. And they go, "Oh my God, I didn't realize. I know that already. I know word stress. I know pronunciation. I know these things. I just didn't know I knew it."
And like Paul just said, if you could empower them either with confidence or something, you know, you empower them to use the language or make them feel okay with making mistakes. Or, you know, when I correct you, like if I correct a student, Maha, they immediately will repeat it again and again and again. They know I'm not making fun of them. I'm not making fun of their actors. Just they get it and like boom, they get it and they move on. You know, it's once you develop that kind of synergy, you become kind of in sync with your language learner. Then the learning just takes off, and I think that's the benefit of being a language coach if you understand the fundamentals of that.
Yeah.
What would you say, Maha?
I agree. Just looking at Paul's as well messages, and he said it's the person who instills in you the confidence, right? Then he says the one who makes you feel empowered and confident.
Yep.
So yes, I definitely would agree with that. And yeah, Judy, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree 100%. You know, you can do this. I'm in your corner. This is not too hard for you. And when I'm looking out over a sea of students and they're in language class, they're looking back with, she doesn't know me. She doesn't know how hard I tried, you know, like that. Yeah. To flip that around and you get them right at the beginning. Bang, bang, bang. Success, success, success. And they'll follow you through the gates of hell. You know, you go, yeah, no, boom. And turn it. And I'll tell you something that turns it is that the chart, you know, and it's all in there, the writing and speaking thing, you know, so you're going to have to give speaking a chance because no one taught it to you before.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think my last point to that would be, if I could think of what makes a really good coach is if someone has a really good understanding of their background and also their culture. Yeah. And maybe some of their pronunciation mistake, which Judy definitely knows. There's a chart that Judy has that shows all the different accents and sounds in all the different languages that some languages have and don't have. It's a brilliant chart. You can post it later. But having a good sense and understanding of that culture, and also if you can make like associations. Is like, oh, well, in Canada we have something similar like this. Like one of my students was a class. He said in Japan they have this coming of age ceremony. You know, and I go, oh, okay. Yeah, when you turn 20 years old, you're coming of age for both men and women. And in Canada we have something similar. In Western culture, we have either a sweet 16 for champagne 16 as a 16-year-old girl, but for men we don't really have something like that. But there's something kind of similar. So if you can make those connections, those cross-cultural connections or similarities, that can also help in teaching a certain kind or group of students as well.
I always start, I just tell one on myself. I just tell a story of something that I've screwed up.
Absolutely.
And you know, then nobody's perfect. Like we're all learners here. I'm a terrible speller. So if I have a whole class and I just come out with, you know what, I'm a terrible speller and chances are 100% I'm going to make a mistake on the board. And if you would point that out to me, if you could help me with that, it would really make a difference for me. And first of all, they can't believe that you're not perfect because you're an English teacher. They can't believe you're admitting it, but the whole atmosphere of the room changes when we're all learners and we all make mistakes. Nobody has to be perfect here. You know, those skills, and I think Paul's probably talking about those that make this space safe. And Maha, you talked about this. Not every teacher does that. You know, that's an empath. That's something else. And you want them to be bold. You be bold.
Mm-hmm.
You be vulnerable.
Exactly.
Lead by example. Sure.
Yeah, there's some words that I still cannot pronounce correctly in English or even in Urdu for that matter, or in Arabic or whatever, right? And the students sometimes laugh at me and go like, listen, I have a problem with big words, okay? Because I might fumble and it might take me a couple of minutes to say it, but if you gave me a really big word, even in Urdu, I would not be able to instantly, right? Because I don't use it. I teach English as a second language. And they laugh at me and I go like, listen, if I can't say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, and I can't say those, it's okay, right? Yeah. That's how I distract them. And of course, I have to write it out for them, show it to them, we sing it together, whatever it is. And it makes them feel comfortable as well that that's okay, you know?
Yes. Yep.
And because they know that I come from a different country, I speak other languages as well. And for me, it's like, and I'm teaching them, so they understand the whole what I'm going through mentally as well. And I keep telling them, I said, when you want, and coming back to Paul's question is, how do you identify, what was it? How do you identify the coach or the teacher?
A good language coach.
Is, yeah, be able to connect to them. If you're not able to connect to your trainer, now there's two types of connections. One, either you connect to them too much and they become friends, like Anish, I'm not your friend, I'm your coach. You become too friendly with them, forget learning anything from them, because you'll be a part of their sorrows. Like, oh my God, this is what happened to me. I need this and I need that, right? Don't be too friendly with them, and do not allow them to be too friendly with you either, only because friends will not help you to learn a language. They just won't if they're a teacher. That's how I see it. And if you're able to really connect well with them, they will take you a little further, because you've touched on their compassionate being, empath being on them. If the empathy is involved, it will take you a long way, not only as a coach, a teacher, a trainer, but also as a student. So find somebody who connects with you at that level. The empathy levels that you might have, try to connect with them on those certain levels.
Trust.
I just think that way only because, as a student, a lot of students are very, very rigid, right? They would just sit there and they would be like, no, you got to teach me. It's your job and I need to learn because I'm paying you, right? So we need to, as learners, we need to let go of that as well, only because even as a teacher, we're all in the learning phase. We're going to be learning every single day. As coaches, we're always learning. I'm sure Judy's always learning as well. Anish is always learning. I'm constantly in that learning phase, because every time I have a new student, there's so much I learn from them. So I never turn around and go like, hey, I know better than you, or I know more than you. No, there's no comparison of that. So look for those qualities, I would say, in a tutor, in a coach, in a teacher, and see, do they respect you as a human? Number one. Do they respect themselves as a human? Number two. So I'm not going on the spiritual side, because I do healings as well. So I kind of like mix in all those things together. So I think that's very important. And then when their intentions are right and they're dealing with you the correct way, the way you want to be dealt with, is then when you want to deal with them, or even pay them for that matter, to teach you.
Yeah.
Trust and respect. Both ways. Yep.
Absolutely. It's interesting because sometimes, like one person is mentioning, if this says, if you say something like this in Pakistan, you'll get fired from your job. And it's true. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but there are certain environments that, like Judy knows perfectly well. If you say what you want to say, and the institution doesn't follow the institution's way of thinking, we don't want you.
It's how you say it as well, Anish. It's the confidence you have when you say, oops, I'm sorry, I don't think I can say this word out loud right now because I need to say it in my head a few times. Again, it's the way you approach things. Instead of, okay, now this is what I said earlier as well. Like, when you walk in as a teacher, your passion has to be there 100%. If you've learned how to teach and not worked on your passion, it's going to show when you're sitting in front of 50 students, because they will know that you're not confident enough to be their tutor.
I had a piano teacher like that.
Right. See, you still remember her.
Wrung the joy right out of it, Yeah.
So I'm not sure what she was referring to by saying what in Pakistan you'll get fired, but
probably the same thing of like, oh, I don't know this one, let me just the pronunciation or the spelling or whatever it is, right? But again, it depends on the school. It depends on, what kind of a relationship you have with the students, what city it is in. It's, again, how much confidence you have. I think that's a very general comment, and it doesn't happen like that anywhere, I think. I've gone into many schools where I'm like, whoops, sorry, I made a mistake. Or I would turn around and go like, oops, did I just forget this and that? Erase it and move on, Again, it's the confidence, the passion, everything else that comes with it. So you cannot really just...
Got a lot of C words, confidence and context and culture and conversation. We're rife with C words here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Paul says when I did my TESOL course, they told us never show. Okay. See, now when I want to say, can you please help me? Hold it, T. I'll have to say it a few times because I fumble, you know? Um, who can say this for me? I can
You
say
read it?
vulnerable. Yes, please. I can say vulnerable, but when it comes to the ability part of it, I need to think.
Sure. Good one. Perfect example. That, Paul, that's the tip of the iceberg of garbage that you learned in your TESOL. Honest to God. You know, and don't talk about religion or family or, you know, you'll make them cry. Guess what? You have to talk about things that they feel passionate about. It's the thing that's bigger than their fear of speaking, bigger than their fear of looking stupid, is something that they care about. You know, yeah, don't talk about anything really important. That was my TESOL training. You just, my God, you know, what a benign, sterile little learningless little environment they've created.
So
they're
yeah,
powerful. They are powerful. You know,
being vulnerable, showing empathy, all super important. Yeah.
But funny enough, I didn't go through that when I was doing my CELTA. Like I never heard of stuff like that when I was doing my CELTA. If we made a mistake, we made a mistake. And we just kind of like laughed it off, like, whoops, you know? So we were kind of, or maybe my trainer or my coach.
I think the specific trainer you might have had, and you've gone through CELTA, might have been exceptionally really good. And, but yeah, from experiencing hearing from other people who either taken CELTA or even the TESOL, I've heard very similar kinds of stories.
Right.
I know, total crap. That's good.
Yeah, no, we were always told when we were doing our CELTA to respect the students. It was such a big thing. It's like give them the eye contact, never ever laugh at them, never show them that you are, you know,
you don't have to have a course for that. Good God.
Yeah. Exactly. So it was very different over there. And then if we made a mistake, it was okay. So we could just turn around and laugh and go like, hey, sorry, I made a mistake, you know? So to break that ice kind of a thing as well. So it wasn't a big deal with the CELTA part. All right. So guys, thank you so much for joining. It was a pleasure having you both here. I just have a couple of messages that I need to attend to as well. We've been here for more than an hour, which is great because, you know, anything which is over an hour is always good. Now, if anybody wants to, obviously, definitely get in touch with Judy. Judy, how do people get in touch with you?
Judy at ThompsonLanguageCenter.com. THOMPSON. Language Center, CETER, the American Spelling.com. Judy at ThompsonLanguageCenter.com. I look forward to speaking with you and answering your questions.
Anish, can you type that up, please, for me? Thank you.
Zoom. I love to Zoom. I'll Zoom you.
Right. You want me to type Judy's email?
Yes, if you can do that in the comments, and I'll put it up on the screen, please. Thank you.
It was the Judy at Thompson Language Center one?
Yes, I can probably do that, but
yeah, I think
go ahead.
Thompson Language Center. Judy at ThompsonLanguageCenter.com, right?
Yes.
Thompson Language Center, Center CETER. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. I just sent it to you, Maha.
Great. Thank you, Paul, for joining us. Thank you. There it is. Thank you, Paul, for being Paul for being here. Look at me. I'm fumbling again. Thank you, Paul, for being here. It happens. It's okay, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
And as for me, you know, as a language coach, I usually like to do, like Judy mentioned earlier, I do an introduction. Just let me get to know you, and you're not hiring me. I'm choosing you. Kind of mentality. So I do. Let's see if I can share one of my screens.
Do you have an option to share screen there?
Yeah, I think I can share this screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I do have loads of different students that I do language coaching with. And you can contact me in many ways at on the spot language on either line or just contact at onthespotlanguage.com. So yeah, it could just be contact at onthespotlanguage.com. If you're interested in language coaching and taking your English to the next level, I'll go through and find out what are your mistakes, what do you want to achieve, and we'll make a plan to be able to achieve those goals. And I'm looking forward to our next chat.
Great. And for me, I know there's a lot of people who already know because sorry, I'm just copying and pasting this at the same time. So what I do is the English Show Canada, the page on YouTube and Facebook. All I do is I come live here and I speak to people. So if you want to have free conversation classes, then you can join the English Show Canada, the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. And all we do is chit chat. So it's a regular setup, similar setup as this one, where I start off and I have people dropping in and they want to have a quick chit chat. Sometimes our chit chats are not that quick; they go for an hour long. And students and learners of all different levels, they come in and I randomly pick up topics and go like, hey, let's talk about my favorite drink, right? Or why do you think a Samsung is better than an iPhone? Or let's talk about coronavirus. And we just start talking. And if I feel the need to correct them at that moment, either I do it to them over there, right on screen, because it's a mistake that is being repeated and somebody else has picked it up as well, thinking because she hasn't corrected them, it's okay for me to say that too. That's when I stop, go like, no, stop. Or I send them a private message saying, okay, let's just work on it a little bit more, and then we do a little bit of exercises and stuff. It's just like being in a regular classroom. And I had actually picked up this methodology from the British Council, who I worked with for a very long time, and they used to have this course called Speak English with Confidence, right? I tweaked it a lot because I was just like, okay, I'm not going to follow the way it is, but I was allowed to tweak it. And this is what I really loved working with the British Council, was that they were not so rigid with their lesson plans or anything. They were like, okay, as long as the objectives are met and you've got the end result, go ahead. So I really enjoyed working with them, and I think I've been quite lucky to always, work with groups like that where they've never really had an issue with my style. So this is my Facebook page, and I'll just quickly show you. That's Anish over here, and that's Judy. The videos that I posted, and here, these are the type of conversations that I have. I think you can see it. It's going down a bit. Okay. So I had Paul here a couple of weeks ago as well. And then I want to show you one of those conversations where I have the students coming in. So here, you can see there's 2 people who joined in. And then, as the video goes on, we get more and more people coming in. And sometimes I've had like 5, 6, 7 people as well. And they drop in and drop out as and when they please. So if you want to kind of just work towards your language skills and just have somebody to speak to, then drop in and I'll be there.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. This has been a lot of fun, and look forward to our next chat.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining. Judy, would you like to say anything before we log
No,
off?
I just really appreciate the opportunity, and it's always great to talk with Anish. And I think your show is fantastic, and thanks for having me.
And thank you to all the educators and the students who came online, even from overseas and in Canada. Thank you guys for making time to join us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.